How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Pratik Cherian.
And I'm Omar Darwish.
And welcome to our review of WandaVision, Episode 9, the series finale.
The series finale.
Appropriately titled, I might add.
Yeah, appropriately titled, I would say.
So, this episode kind of jumped all over the place, so I think we're just going to jump all over the place, too. What'd you think about the episode?
Blanket spoiler warning, so we don't have to say it midway through and edit it and put it back in the beginning. Blanket spoiler warning for WandaVision as a whole, the whole series. We're
Honestly, if you're watching this, watching this series finale video,
what are you doing?
Yeah,
go watch it. Come back. We'll be here probably. All right.
It's the internet. It's forever. We'll still be here. All right. So, what'd you think?
Overall, a little underwhelmed, but I think they tied it up kind of nicely.
Yeah, so honestly, I was doing a lot of thinking about this overall, and it's just kind of more general WandaVision thoughts, but I think it kind of goes to the weekly storytelling format, right? When you get episodes every week, we have an entire week to build theories based off of what we had the week before.
Yeah.
And then another week to build theories based off of that. And then another week and another week. And I think that I was just thinking about it. I feel like if I binged WandaVision start to finish, I think I would be a lot happier with this episode.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of it that calls back to things from earlier, and it flows so well as like one complete story. But when I think about all of the theories that we had and all the things we talked about and all the things that didn't happen, we didn't get a third party.
Yeah.
We didn't get, just so much stuff that we did not get that we were all like building up and anticipating.
But that's our fault.
It is.
It's the fans.
It's 100% our fault, but it's also a side effect of like the weekly episodic storytelling.
I'll also say not all of it is our fault. Quicksilver.
No.
Huge misdirect.
No. Fun cameo. I stand by that 100%.
Fun cameo.
Yes.
Other than the logic problem of how does he have Quicksilver's powers
magic.
if he's...
You can use magic to explain anything, okay?
Well,
why are we acting like that's...
That just ruins storytelling. That's bad writing. Magic. Hey, but what about this? Magic. That's bad writing, and the MCU hasn't had to lean on that yet, like thus far, but now, all of a sudden, we're going to lean on that?
Yeah,
this is the most hit or miss episode for me, where it's like, if we didn't get those scenes with Vision and that scene with Vision and Wanda at the end, where that like beautiful moment where I was like holding back tears, where they're talking to each other saying goodbye, that's honestly what saved the episode for me. But there was a lot in this episode where it's just like, we talked about it last week, how, man, if this is under 50 minutes, they're just going to have to be going and going and going, and like it's just going to be a nonstop episode, and that's kind of what we got.
In a way, it felt like exactly what they kept telling us it was going to be, in that it felt like the third act of any MCU movie.
Well, not any MCU movie. It felt like the third act of Incredibles.
A little bit,
It was the third act of Incredibles. Like,
actually, down to like the family posing at the end. Like,
I
saw
at
that.
The end.
Yeah.
They bring in their friend who could be just like Frozone, being Monica, who helps a little bit but doesn't do too much. Like, I don't know. I felt like, okay, now I get why it said The Incredibles on the theater kiosk earlier.
Yeah,
because a few episodes back, because they were teasing. Oh, do you like Incredibles? Well,
we're gonna give you the exact same ending.
And I'm like, okay, that's my number one problem with this is like, this show has been so original until now, and now it's like just lost almost all of its originality. Like, I feel maybe even if it did it better than Incredibles or better than what it's following or being tropey on, it's still not a new concept like what we've been getting from every episode thus far, you know?
No, and that I agree with. I think that overall, like, up until the end, like you said, where we really got the emotional beats, the beginning part of the episode just felt like something I'd seen before. I was honestly a little bit tuned out.
Yeah. It almost got boring. But like, the only reason it didn't is because we care about these characters. And
right, yeah.
It just...
So what was the scene that like dragged you back in? Like, where was it? Just that end scene, or was there anything else that like really grabbed your attention?
Vision talking to Vision.
Yes,
love that. I love that they're both poets. Like, I just love Paul Bettany in general. I also love that they seem to have given old Vision or white Vision his memories back.
Yeah.
So, but did he give him emotion, or are we still gonna get a Vision that's emotionless?
Well, and I think that this if they want to, there's a really interesting like thought you can follow about what part does emotion play in memory, and how does all of that tie together into making you a person.
What are we without our memories?
Yeah. Well, and so he has his memories, but what if he has the memories without the emotions attached? Then what does that make him?
Does that Vision have the memories of what happened in the Hex, or just the memories?
So they did that whole like montage. Did you see any?
I didn't see anything in the Hex.
I didn't either.
It looked like it ended with the Mind Stone being destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when it got back.
So hypothetically, maybe this Vision has all of the memories up until WandaVision? Like none of the WandaVision memories?
Yeah, so that's not going to be Wanda's perfect Vision, but it is Vision.
Yeah.
I'm either way, I'm happy that they didn't just kill off Vision with no way of returning. So that's good.
So where do you think we see that character again? Because the last time we saw him, he like blasts off into the sky, never to be seen again. So do you have any theories on where we see him next?
Vision. We're gonna get a movie or a show called Vision.
In like what, 2024?
Maybe it's probably already in production. I think if anything, WandaVision sped up whatever the production date was gonna be on this, because we're definitely going to get a Vision show or something. I don't think they'll save it for like another, like to cameo in another movie or something. I think they're going to give Vision
I almost
more.
feel like it has to be another movie, because I don't know that if they did it in like a Disney Plus show, I don't know that anybody, I think there's just going to be this entire noise for where's Wanda, where's Wanda, where's Wanda.
Well, who's to say Wanda doesn't show up in it?
Yeah, maybe.
Like I think that would be...
At which point, why isn't this just WandaVision season 2?
Okay.
Like, that's where you really have to, you know?
Don't we kind of want that?
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I mean, this was like my favorite show I've watched in like, I can't even imagine how long. Like, I love WandaVision, and I'm sad that it's done now. You know what I mean? So I'd be okay with it.
But what could they possibly do in a season 2 that...
I don't think you'd be able to call it WandaVision. That's what I'm saying. It'd probably be a Vision show, and like Wanda would have to be a character in it.
Yeah.
I think Agnes would be a character in it. I think
again, at which point it's just WandaVision season 2.
Speaking of Agnes,
okay,
what do you think about all that? What do you think about how we left Agnes?
I like it, actually. Like, I think it's satisfying. It puts the character in a place where if we never saw her again, like, it makes sense that we wouldn't, but if they ever decided to go back to the well, they've left it completely open to do that. I like the fact that they ended it that way.
I feel like the director was confused on what to do with these characters, with Agnes and Wanda at the end. I feel like Agnes is supposed to be the placeholder for all the bad shit that we just happened. And Agnes is kind of the reason, so let's just put the blame on her. No, Wanda just did all of that. Were we supposed to just forget?
You know what? I don't think this episode left Wanda off the hook. In fact, the last thing
it did, because Monica goes, they'll never know what you sacrificed, what you gave up for them. Like they're trying to give her a chip on her shoulder, and
I think they're doing both in a way.
Yeah,
because Agnes, like right before everything, or I guess Agatha before she's reverted to Agnes, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
What does she tell Wanda? You're cruel, and Wanda doesn't deny it. You know.
And
not only that, but we see like all of those people's reactions. It's not like we just brush this under the rug. The fact of the matter is, if Wanda came up as an Avenger again, nobody who lived in Westview would ever be able to see her that same way again.
There's gonna be repercussions. There's gonna be repercussions.
I don't think they were just like, Wanda's fine now. Like, they didn't do the hand waving, which they could have easily done.
But it's kind of a cop out, as in we don't know where she's going from here. Like, at least give us a hint.
So here's another question, right?
Yeah.
So the very last post-credit scene, which is where we leave Wanda.
Which gave me the most questions.
She's in a cabin somewhere.
Yeah.
And
doing her Thanos thing, sitting on the porch, going in
right.
to get her
and
tea.
then we go and we see her astral form, like reading the Darkhold, which Agatha called
confirm the Darkhold. That's good to know, right?
Sure, yeah.
Because we've been speculating on what that book was.
Right. Yeah. Never mind. But Agatha called it the Book of the Damned, right? Mm-hmm. And if Wanda's doing all of her magical learning from the Book of the Damned, where does that leave her? I honestly think we could see a more villainous or more evil-ish Wanda in Doctor Strange than we expect.
I'm expecting her to still be the antagonist of Doctor Strange, but I'm thinking when we see her reading and doing that, and you see all these like spheres around her, I'm thinking those are different universes, and she's looking for her kids because they're in a different universe. In another universe, everything worked out for them. And I think that's the universe she's looking for. She knows that there's alternate realities, and like different options for everything, and you hear the kids screaming at the end.
Okay,
so I think that's what she's searching for.
What makes you think that's another universe? Like outside of your knowledge of what in this story makes you say that's another universe?
So because the kids are gone on this universe, they don't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's what makes me think it's a different.
Is there not any? I mean,
and also the next thing that we know she's popping up in is Multiverse of Madness.
But like, if you didn't know that, is there anything that tells you these kids are in another universe? What if it's just like they're magical, like because they were created by magic, and she's in the astral plane? Like, what if it was just connecting to wherever their souls have gone now?
That's a big variable, though. We do know multiverse, like. It's widely known that Multiverse Madness is the next thing. So.
Yeah, but I think that if you rely on that to understand what's happening in this episode,
but
you end up doing what we all did, where it's like, oh, Quicksilver, oh, like all this stuff.
Right,
you know?
But I think also you have to take into account what the next movie is, and like Kevin Feige always plants seeds for what's to come. We know, and also because of this. We were told that WandaVision is the first part of of an overarching thing between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. What could carry over from this other than that?
You might be right.
You know what I mean?
You might be right, but I also if there's one thing I've learned from the show, it's to be careful about speculating.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
this last time I was this put down off my speculation was from Civil War when I was you remember I was speculating heavy for Civil War. I was like, this is gonna happen and that's gonna happen and all this and everyone's gonna die and nothing happened. Like
nothing that you said happened.
And I ended up walking away from Civil War just a little bit underwhelmed. And now
you were out on the MCU.
I wasn't out on the MCU, but I literally walked out and I was like, all right, well the MCU can't surprise me anymore because that was the most paint by numbers thing that happened in that movie. But going back, I love Civil War. It's like it's probably top 5. It's definitely top 5, maybe even top 4 MCU.
Right.
So it's just so I went into this, especially after what the director said about how I think people are going to be disappointed from how far their speculation has gone and their theories. I think I went into this a little bit, expecting it to not be bonkers like they've been saying it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But that's also their fault. Like, you can't put Evan Peters as Quicksilver and give him Quicksilver's powers and especially when they cut back to him and Monica in this episode, he's in pretty much his room from Days of Future Past. Did you notice that? It's pretty much his room from Days of Future Past. Other than there's no foosball table or whatever or arcade thing, it's like a man cave and he's saying chillax. He's acting just like that Quicksilver. And I've heard people's arguments on well, we've been asking for if the original freaking I can't think of a superhero right now, but let's just say the original Spider-Man, we use this as the last one, pops up in this and he's like the mailman, that's fine. Oh, hey, that guy played Spider-Man or whatever, right? But you're putting him in the Spider-Man suit and putting him in this movie and telling us it's not Spider-Man. You're calling him Spider-Man. You're calling this dude Quicksilver. And that's way too many. I honestly think it's too convoluted and some fans are going to be confused on. I think there's still going to be people that after this is all done, they're going to be like, oh yeah, the X-Men Quicksilver was in WandaVision. And you're going to have to, well, no, that wasn't actually, and you're going to have to explain.
No, it was an actor named Ralph Bonner. Who was apparently
Boner.
Who is Agatha's husband, Ralph? To me, that was the most disappointing part. That was Ralph.
That was Ralph, exactly.
Yeah.
It just seemed like
I don't care about the Quicksilver stuff, but that was Ralph. You've been teasing Ralph this whole time, and that was it.
I would have much rather them just gotten Aaron Taylor Johnson. If him being Evan Peters has nothing to do with the character, then why? I just don't understand that. We're saying I even said at the beginning of this video, the fans set themselves up for disappointment. But with the Quicksilver thing, they misled us. That was misleading. Come on.
Some men just like to watch the world burn.
I don't know about that.
Wrong universe. Never mind.
No.
Cycling back really, really fast.
Okay.
To what you said about how it felt like the director wasn't sure where to leave these characters. Mm-hmm. Is that Kevin Feige's fault?
No.
Because if these things all connect, and we've been saying we're crediting Kevin Feige for all of this, and these are all following his grand plan.
It's not that these characters had identity crisis by the end of this episode. What is Wanda? Is Wanda a villain or not? If I'm asking it right now, is Wanda a bad person? Is she an antagonist?
Is she an evil character?
But
you know what?
Okay.
I would say Wanda is at this point, she's at the same place that you would consider Loki at any point in time.
I think she's at this point where you would consider Thanos.
Ooh.
Because Thanos was trying to do right, and he felt like it's mercy. His snap is mercy, on people. It's not going to hurt them. He's just doing what needs to be done. Wanda didn't think she was really hurting these people until she thinks Agnes is putting the words in their mouths when they're like, please, I just want to see my daughter. When Dottie's talking about that, she doesn't realize until the end how much of an effect she's having on these people, and she lets them go, right?
Which, if that's the case, makes her the best MCU villain. Well, second best MCU villain, like, that we've had.
So she's a villain then.
I'm just saying, yeah. I think that...
Do you want to know why you're confused? Because the episode was confused. The episode had identity crisis.
I'm not confused. I just think you could go either way. I just need a little bit more.
I think we need a lot more. I'm sounding very disappointed with this episode, and I'm actually not that disappointed with it. I'm kind of happy that they didn't mess it up. Like, this wasn't this very satisfying, like, they really, like, put the nail in the coffin and, like, gave us everything we wanted, like Endgame did.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that they at least landed. Like, they didn't stick the landing, but they landed on their feet. You know what I mean? Now I can look, and I'm sure watching this all back, it's gonna be a great story all the way through, and it'll feel a bit more natural than the week to week has been given us.
I think we've been talking this whole time through WandaVision that a lot of it would depend on whether they stuck the landing or not.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this will be cool. It depends on if they actually manage to pull it off, or if they pull it off. And, I feel we're at the natural point where we should probably just score this episode.
Let's score it. Let's score it. I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode. It may change, like all of them have, but I'm probably gonna give it like an 8. I'm gonna say.
You're gonna give it an 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Paul Bettany saved the episode for me, 100%. This dude, you know what? I'm not even gonna give Paul Bettany all the credit. The writer, do you know who the writer is?
I don't remember. No.
She is incredible. The writer of WandaVision is like, this is the best writing we've gotten in the MCU.
I mean, it's a writing team,
as
but
far as dialogue, but not as far as storytelling. I'm gonna say this season should have been maybe 4 more episodes. They definitely packed everything at the end that they should have had more time to flesh out. Nothing had time to breathe in this episode.
Hold on, real quick. Didn't you, like, 2 episodes ago were like, oh, this should have been just 6 episodes?
No.
You were definitely saying that, like,
Never.
they like stretched this out a little bit.
No,
I'm
never.
going back and watching.
No. I said that you guys can look back. I said the exact opposite of that. I said that these episodes don't have time to breathe and they don't have time to flesh out these characters. They need to be longer. And I even said, like, with the finale, if it's not like 2 hours long, they're gonna have to rush to finish this up. And I feel like they kind of did. They had to rush to finish it all up. And it also feels like we're not gonna get resolution in a lot of this stuff until, like, at least Doctor Strange, which is like 2 movies from now, 3 movies from now.
Yeah.
We still got Black Widow, Eternals, Spider-Man 3.
Well, so I guess technically Spider-Man would, because if it's a 3-movie arc, or if a 3-project arc with
Spider-Man
WandaVision,
would be the next. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we get some of this in Spider-Man.
Which, what also doesn't make sense to me about that, Far From Home's like 5-6 months after this. And Spider-Man 3 is after that. So...
who knows? They'll figure it out. The Spider-Man movies can't figure out their timeline anyway. But no, I think if I were scoring this, I think I'd give it a 7.
Okay.
I think I'm with you. I think Paul Bettany saves the episode. The best moments of this episode were Vision talking to himself, presenting himself with the problem of who is Vision, what is Vision, and then that ending scene with him saying goodbye to Wanda was just oof. All of the feels.
So sad. I almost
100% the feels.
Almost cried.
With that said, I almost feel like this episode was held back because they felt they had to, like, they had to give us a superhero landing, and they gave us a superhero
we got
landing.
like 5 superhero landings in this.
But I felt like they felt the need to, like, all right, everyone's expecting an MCU project. Let's give them the superhero stuff. I almost wonder what would happen if they just said, all right, make a show with these characters. Don't worry about what people think.
It doesn't have to be all MCU-y at the end, and they made it that.
Yeah, so I think I give it a 7 for that reason.
Okay.
Like, the action sequences were fine, but it's not
cookie cutter Marvel stuff.
It's not what anybody actually cares about. It's not what elevated this show beforehand.
It was great, but, like, I've seen everything before. I've seen all of this and other things, maybe even done better. And even if it was done just as good in this, it's not as original as what we've come to love about the show, you know?
Right, yeah.
So I almost wonder if watching it all together, if it's going to come out of nowhere. Like, I wonder if it's going to be jarring how, because honestly, as this episode started, it starts and just keeps going. And it's like, we just don't have enough time to live with these little moments that, like, when she's saying goodbye to her kids, that scene should have been longer. There should have been more to it. Like, that scene kind of, it makes me feel like we are going to see these kids again because it wasn't that emotional of a goodbye.
See, I kind of disagree with you. To me, it felt like it was Wanda and Vision they were saying goodbye, but they weren't telling the kids goodbye. It's almost like the kids didn't know that they were about to be erased from existence.
Well, they definitely didn't.
They did, and I think that like that's Wanda and Vision like sticking to being good parents up until the very end, right? Like they're not scaring their kids, they're not like worrying them or anything, but at the same time, they are saying goodbye as best as they can without doing all of those things.
Where are the kids? And are they in the same place as Vision?
Like
the Vision that died in this.
Well, because I'm going to say that the Vision that died got reabsorbed into Wanda because she said
you're the part of the Mind Stone, which
that was living in me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
want to say that the kids. I'm going to just say that their like souls exist somewhere else.
In another universe.
Somewhere else. I'm not going to go as far as you.
I think that is what you're seeing at the end is her looking through different universes, trying to open up the multiverse. I don't know what else she would be doing. Or like, unless she's trying to conjure her kids up again.
See, to me, it felt a lot like Doctor Strange as far as like she's just learning, right? Because Agatha kept taunting her about like how much she didn't know.
Yeah.
So she's just learning, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle of her learning, that's when she comes across her kid.
Also, speaking of Doctor Strange, we get a Sorcerer Supreme name drop and still no Doctor Strange showing up? Where is he? What? Why is it, and I keep saying this, but why is it that in Thor Ragnarok, as soon as Loki touches foot on Earth, he goes for it?
You said this.
It doesn't make any, but they need to answer it. That's a huge plot hole.
They might explain it in Doctor Strange.
They better explain it in Doctor Strange, or else it's a huge plot hole, and it'll decrease my love of at least the logic in this.
Speaking of WandaVision as a whole, do you want to just score WandaVision the series?
10.
10?
10.
10 out of 10?
10 out of 10. This is still my regardless of how disappointed or not I was with this episode, this is my favorite MCU thing ever. This is my favorite thing the MCU has put out. I am imagining myself just watching this on repeat every day until I like just grow too old to even know what I'm doing.
After saying it, I regret asking for a score because I kind of want to watch it start to finish and then score it.
This is also off the cuff.
Yeah.
But this is all subject to change.
Right, obviously.
I've changed my score probably for like every episode that I've scored so far. So
I think I'm with you though. I think I give WandaVision a 10. Overall, it gave me something incredibly new.
Yeah.
It gave me something different, something to look forward to every week.
And they didn't scuff the ending.
Yeah.
It didn't end.
It was satisfying. It wasn't like it didn't exceed my expectations. It was good.
What do you think about Hayward? How they ended off his storyline? Think we're gonna get him back? Because this episode, he had the worst dialogue he's had so far. It felt okay. So now that he's in his role of the villain, let's just not give a damn about what he says. It seems like what they.
Yeah. No. It's kind of what I was saying before. Or maybe this was off camera, where I was like, I have no idea what they're going to do with all the side characters. And in a way...
Neither did they.
They're like, all right. Like, Darcy had one line of dialogue.
Say, what?
One line of dialogue, and the most, like,
off-screen disappears. Like,
I mean, we got... Jimmy had, like, his moments, but, like, definitely still shunted off to the side. I guess we never talked about Monica's thing.
Yeah, do you think Jimmy being in that post-credit scene... Like, obviously it's setting up Monica to be in... Captain Marvel 2 or Sword or the Nick Fury show or something.
Or Secret Invasion, which they already announced.
Okay, well, it could be that. But I'm also thinking the fact that Jimmy Woo was in there, maybe we are going to get that Jimmy Woo, Monica, buddy cop. I'd rather see that than Falcon and Winter Soldier, to be honest.
Wow! I'm walking off set right now.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think those post-credit scenes really did much for me other than the Wanda one.
The Wanda one was big. I think that one just kind of teased all right, now what?
But this is the second movie we've gotten that is teasing the outer space Captain Marvel world, because Far From Home pretty much had a tease like this, and it was Skrulls too. Like how many Skrull post-credit scenes are we gonna get? One in every episode of everything now, like every movie?
We'll see. Honestly, I really have no idea what they're gonna do with it, and it leads me to a lot of like logistical questions about what is Sword, like. Who are the Skrulls? How much have they infiltrated? If they're doing Secret Invasion, because Secret Invasion, the Skrulls are the villains. So, like, what are they?
But the Skrulls are all supposed to be the villains anyway, and in Captain Marvel, they kind of retcon that they're villains, right?
Right, yeah. So,
not retcon, but retcon from the comics anyway.
Yeah, same thing. With Secret Invasion, like, the Skrulls are supposed to be the villains. So, like, are they retconning that?
But also,
Who knows?
in the comics, Wanda was supposed to get her kids from Mephisto, and they were supposed to get sucked back into Mephisto, and none of that happened.
Maybe that still happens.
Maybe Mephisto was the bunny. I'm going with it. He was the bunny the whole time.
You live in your head canon. All right. I think I'm ready to wrap up. Are you?
Think you're ready to wrap up? All right. Well, go ahead. Take us out.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys, on WandaVision. Tune in next week where we'll definitely have something for you. Not going to say what it is just yet, but
we'll be here.
We'll be here. And then after that, be back for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a Lethal Weapon.
All right. Well, tune in for the first episode of that where you can watch us fight about it some more.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, guys. See ya.